Well, my earliest memory of Sonrise Church would be when my wife Dee and I moved back to Fort Wayne in 1991. And we kind of shopped around for a church for about 6 months. I suggested to my wife that I'd like to visit this new church that's starting out in the school. And see how that is. And she said, well, why would you want to do that? They're probably going to want to build a whole bunch of new buildings. And you can look around, you can see how right she was. We had always gone to what I would call a traditional church. And so, having gone to Sonrise, we had we heard different music. We had no hymn books. We heard a different type of message, and what I would call a contemporary service. And we'd never been exposed to that, and we liked that. Well, after we had been going to Sonrise Church for a while, we had a board meeting, and we found out that we were a little bit short on our care ministry. I approached Stan and asked him if he would mind if I would explore a little bit about care ministry. So I found a care ministry program that I talked to Stan about, and he approved it, and we took it to the board, and they approved it. And it was called Care Partner Ministry. And then now we're in the Stevens ministry. I'm a real fan of the Stevens ministry, of the church. Your life is the best sermon that a person will ever hear. Treat people the same way you want to be treated, and always be honest. The golden rule.
Probably my earliest memory would be our very first service, worship service, which took place at a school in a gymnasium, and just the excitement of setting up for that service and seeing people come, because we had made about 20,000 phone calls and 264 people showed up for our very first service. It was pretty much in the heart of Stan when he was finishing his seminary degree. We were a part of a new church plant in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he kept feeling like God was putting that on his heart. So our first 2 years in an appointment in rural Indiana, he was making trips to the bishop's office saying, right, I want to plant a church, I want to plant a church. The beginning was to reach unreached people for Christ, disciple them into a relationship with Christ, that focus wouldn't change, that our heart would always be to reach people for Christ. As the church was being built, I remember going to the location, and we would write scriptures. We would all come out and write scriptures. So under all these walls, there are many scriptures, promises that people had imprinted here. The beginning was to reach unreached people for Christ, disciple them into a relationship with Christ, that focus wouldn't change, that our heart would always be to reach people for Christ. Passion, determination, there's times when it would have seemed easy to give up because of obstacles that you meet along the way, or things don't always go the way you want, but to keep moving forward, to refocus, and to always keep our focus on God. And the reason why Sonrise was planted, and it's about Christ, it's about God, and we can't let everything, all the obstacles get in the way. Always stay true to the mission, the heart change, the relationship with Christ. The Word of God will always be preached. And I just remember Stan saying, Sonrise Church belongs to God, and God will take care of Sonrise.
I think one of my earliest memories of Sonrise is probably when we built the new building and we walked from Deer Ridge over, kind of a parade. That was really cool. I also loved, when I was in about 4th or 5th grade, Dick and Michelle Moore were our leaders, our Sunday school leaders, and we just had so much fun doing games and learning about Jesus. When I think of God's faithfulness through Sonrise, I think of it as it's been a family that has been with us forever. And when I've gone through different seasons of life, it's been amazing to see that family step in. I remember going away to college and just struggling with being far away. And I had some of my Sonrise family sending me cards and packages and calling and checking in on me. And I remember when I went away after college to live abroad, and just I remember my dad and I would FaceTime regularly, and a lot of times he would be at the office and he would just take me around to see every person on the staff at the office if I was homesick. And I remember just other times when I got married, just so much of my Sonrise family being there to support and encourage us and walk with us. And as we've gone through grief and losing my dad, just the Sonrise family coming to our house and the unlimited amount of meals that we could not even consume, and the support that we have felt so much in our community and in our family. And it was hard to figure out how things looked after Dad passed, but realizing that this is our family and those people have stepped in, and they're not just church members, but they're family, and those are the family that are helping me raise my kids, and they're in my circle, and they're my village. One thing that I think we had an opportunity to do being a pastor's daughter is when this church was built, when all the framing was up, the other pastors and their kids, and even some other leaders just in the church and church members, we got to go through, and on the framing of the church, we wrote Bible verses and scriptures, and we prayed over this church, and we did prayer walks. And those were some really cool opportunities that I felt like we had just in the bare bones of this church to pray for it and pray for the vision and what was ahead. Church camp, I think, when I could be a counselor at church camp, especially like out of college before I had a family, that was awesome. Like, you spend a whole week with people and get to know them well in a different environment. You're taken out of your own environment, and those are some deep connections, which are really cool. We do the Fuel Cafe, and I love it because right now at my stage in life with my family, it's perfect because it's a short serve, so it's just about an hour. I've always dreamed of being a barista at a coffee house, so I get to kind of live out my dream. And it's something where I get to connect with high schoolers and middle schoolers too, which I love connecting with them. But it's a perfect serve for our family right now because I don't have to find much time for childcare, and we can do it as often or as little as we want. But we also serve with one or two other people, and we've been able to connect with them and build relationship while we're serving in that short amount of time. I mean, it's usually like 2 hours a month. So I've really enjoyed those connections and kind of living out my barista dream at the same time. Well, and two, I've been talking with some people on staff and in the children's ministry. I went up to them and said, you know what, like, I want to serve, but I'm having trouble finding a good fit right now. Like, is there behind the scenes stuff I can do at home or when my kids are asleep? And they had some opportunities for me, which excited me because I wanted more, but I didn't know where to find it that was available right now to us. And so I just asked. I'm in a different stage of life now than I was when I attended Sonrise years ago, and I think right now I'm just really excited for the opportunities that my kids have to grow and to know Jesus, and whether that's through the preschool or when they come in Sunday mornings, whether it's in the cookie room, but also the opportunities for camp. I just love thinking about them going to camp, and Brecken, my son, he's so into music right now, and any chance he gets to be in worship, he just loves watching them sing and play the guitar, and he imitates that at home. And the opportunities that, maybe one day he'd be on the worship team or be involved in the youth group on the worship team, or all those opportunities that are there in ways he can connect, and it really is exciting for me. Don't get frustrated if the first time you try to connect with people, it's not there. Keep trying, because we're all different, and we all connect better with different styles of people, and I think not giving up on the first chance you try with connecting. I think as a church family, we should strive to just be people who care for one another, and really that doesn't have to be inside the church building. I mean, the person that's bringing a meal to your house if you're sick, or the person that's offering to watch your kids so you can go to an appointment, and be in community. And it's not always been easy for me to strive to be involved in community, but I think I've seen so much reward when I have done that, and really get engaged and get to know other people, because you can walk inside the church and go to church and walk outside and not connect with people. I've been there and I've done that, and that's hard. But I think if you can start to build those relationships by getting involved in the different things, I think that's really helpful to build the community and to build relationships moving forward.